Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May meeting of the City of Binghamton Planning Commission. My name is Nick Corcoran. I'm currently the chairman of this commission, which is comprised of local community members tasked with reviewing site plans and special use permits for consistency with the standards and criteria set forth in the City of Binghamton Code. Based on our total number of planning commission members, 4 members must be present to constitute a quorum. Tonight we have 5 members, which means we do have a quorum and can proceed. First item on our agenda is roll call. Mario DeFulvio. Joe D'Angelo is absent. Chris Judgeets is also absent. Kelly Weiss, Manny Priest, and Steve Seepersod. All right. 5 members, which means we can proceed. Second item on the agenda is approval of the last month's meeting minutes. Anybody see any problems with the meeting minutes that were posted?
I was absent, so I'll be abstaining.
Okay. Anybody else? Yep, motion would be great. All right. Oh, he was not at the last meeting, so he's gonna. Oh, all right. Motion by Kelly for approval. All right, seconded by Steve. All right, all in favor? That's 3 in favor and 2 abstaining because they were not at the meeting.
That does not carry, so we'll have to vote again next month.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll carry that over to next month then. Just a note on the meeting minutes, another fantastic summary. Holy cow, these are great. It's a excellent reminder before we come to each of these meetings, what happened at the last meeting. So fantastic job on the meeting minutes. So. All right, on to the next item on our agenda, which is seeker determinations. In this portion of our meeting, the Planning Commission will be reviewing documentation provided by applicants for the first time. Applicants will be called to the microphone where they will be asked to make a presentation describing their plans to the commission. Commission members may then ask questions of the applicant to clarify any items that are unclear. And after all questions have been answered, the commission will deliberate and then either set a public hearing date for the project or request additional information before proceeding. To all our applicants that will be presenting tonight, we ask that you please state your name and address for our records before beginning. And we ask that any member of your team who will be speaking, please give their name and address for our public record. All right, tonight, our first seeker determination is for the applicant Wallison Corp. Project address is 191 Front Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the construction of 1 mixed use building with 6,000 square feet of ground floor drive-through commercial space and 2 studio units, 58 1-bedroom units and 16 2-bedroom units, and the construction of 1 4-story multi-unit dwelling with 64 1-bedroom units and 16 2-bedroom units in the C4 neighborhood commercial district. All right, anybody here for, all right. Hello. Before you start, would you just make sure the green light is on the microphone there? Perfect. And then they're pretty sensitive, so you got to talk right into the microphone. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good afternoon. Very nice to be with you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm here on behalf of Wallison Corp. My name is Sal Rajput. Wallison Corp's address is 237 West Lincoln Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, 10550. And I'm here to present a project that was previously approved on March 22nd, 2021. And this is just an amendment to one of the buildings. The project is comprised of 2 buildings. Both are 4-story buildings. One of them is toward Oak Street, and it is in a 4-story 80-unit building with 64 1-bedroom apartments and 16 2-bedroom apartments. There is no change to that building. The other building is on Front Street. And that is, presently it is approved for 45 apartments, 36 of which are 1 bedrooms and 9 are 2 bedrooms. And it has 12,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. Since that approval, we decided to scale back the amount of commercial space, not make the entire ground floor commercial, because we felt that the need for commercial space on that corridor is, we will have difficulty renting that much space. So we decided to cut that space down to only 6,000 square feet of commercial space and instead increase the unit count. So we are now seeking approval. We are now able to fit a total of 76 units in that building with 6,000 square feet of commercial space. So the composition of that 76 units are 2 studios, 58 1 bedrooms, and 16 2 bedrooms. That will, and with that unit, with increasing the unit count to 76 and reducing the commercial space to half, we still meet the parking requirements. And we previously met the parking requirements for the building on Oak Street. So we are good overall with all of the parking requirements. There might be a little variance needed here and there for like between 1 space or 2, as many as 4 spaces. So that is the main reason for coming here, is to change the unit count in the Front Street building. The other objective is to have, so that is our main unit mix. In addition, what we would like to have is an alternate unit mix in case we utilize that. There has been some indication of interest from a lender who wants to see more of an even count between the 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. Right now, we are skewed more toward 1 bedrooms. But there's a particular lender which has expressed interest that if we make it almost even between 1s and 2s and slightly increase the size of the 2 bedrooms. So if we go with that lender, only for that purpose, we wanted to have an alternate unit mix approval. And we even meet the parking requirement even for that, because what that will do is that it will almost be a 50-50 split between 1s and 2s. It will cut down the total number of apartments. So we will not have a total of 156 units in between the 2 buildings. We will only have 140 units between the 2 buildings. And we still have enough land to make parking for that. So just as part of the approval, if we can have that option to do the alternate unit mix. But otherwise, we are mostly interested in the other unit mix that we have presented to you, which is a total of 156 units, which yields us a little bit more rental income than the other one.
Okay. All right. Tito, how do we do an approval if there's 2 options on the table? Do you?
So the applicant submitted a breakdown in writing of what he just described as the second alternate floor plan. The planning commission does need to see both floor plans, and then you could just vote to approve both, deny one, deny both, or however you vote. But before the next meeting, you would need that second floor plan.
Okay. Is this something between now and the next meeting, you'd be able to supply actual floor plans of the buildings?
It is certainly possible. We have supplied the floor plans for the main unit mix, which is 156 units in total. We were trying to save, we will see if we can save the cost, because we are not that serious about the second. It is just, if we go with that lender, then we would. So if we can have a conditional approval on the second, that unit mix of 140 units, that if we go that way, then so if you can give us a conditional on the second unit, alternate unit mix, what as I call it, but to approve us on the main unit mix, if that's it's a request.
I could talk to Corp Counsel after the meeting about that. The site plan is the most important thing technically. but I can talk to them about the floor plan.
I have a letter from, by the architect saying that for both unit mixes, the main and the alternate, that they have sized both, the both unit mixes fit the size, the bulk size of the buildings. And we meet the parking requirements, so that
Okay.
they have a letter certifying that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. And Tito, this is a whole new review instead of just a modification, or
This is a site plan modification.
it is just a modification?
Correct.
But we still go through all of seeker again.
Yes, yeah, technically it's a new project
Okay.
in seeker terms, and so
Okay.
we'd have to review it.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Sure. In the report, the staff recommends the planting of a row of trees along Girard Avenue and also closing all the curb openings on Front Street. Are you willing to incorporate that into your project and plan?
Yes, absolutely. I think planting along Girard Avenue will beautify, will give us like a little privacy. And so that's fine. And we will close all the curb cuts on Front Street. We won't need them anymore, because the way, like, it's there's no entrance and exit from Front Street.
Okay.
So I accept those two conditions.
Great. All right. Any other questions, concerns? All right, if there's no other questions or concerns, I'll make a motion that the action is a type 1 action under seeker, and that the planning commission should act as lead agency for this modification review. All right, seconded by Steve, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the project at 5:20 at our June meeting. All right, second by Manny, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, so we'll see you back in June, and we'll have a public hearing and see if anybody comes to speak about the project. And then we'll go from there.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.
Welcome. All right, our next seeker determination tonight is for the applicant Nathan Weinberg. The project address is 87 Chapin Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for a congregate living facility in an existing residential building with 6 sleeping rooms in the R3 multi-unit dwelling district. Is the green light on that guy?
Hello, I'm gonna
There
try
it
that
is.
again.
All right.
My name is Nathan Weinberg and I live at 60 Clifton Boulevard in Binghamton.
All right. What are you thinking about doing?
So I purchased a property at 87 Chapin Street and I'm looking to continue to use it as 6 bedrooms. I guess I did have a maybe clarification question. Just 'cause I wasn't sure exactly what would constitute needing congregate living approval and what wouldn't. Because the property has been used as 6 bedroom for a long time. And so I was just a little unsure if I needed to go about this process, but I wanted to put in the application just in case I did.
I believe our records show that it's a 4-bedroom house, and so legalizing those bedrooms requires planning commission approval.
Right, and I definitely understand. I just wasn't sure if there was I guess a time frame of if it had been used as a 6 bedroom for dating far back enough that it would, because I guess the reason I'm asking is because I found a listing of the property from 17 years ago that it was a 6 bedroom. So I just wasn't sure if, it's probably been in a 6 bedroom for 20, 30, 40 years, if I still need to go through that process regardless of what the historical occupancy has been. I understand online it does have it listed as a 4-bed, but I'm not sure how accurate all of those inventories are.
Sure. So that's something that we can investigate. Our zoning officer can investigate. And if he confirms that those bedrooms were established legally or established before the rule change took place that required a special approval for more than 4 bedrooms, then you could be grandfathered in.
Okay,
In other words, as congregate living. So if a property is legally has 5+ bedrooms,
Mhm.
that when the zoning change took effect, that those properties were automatically considered congregate living.
okay. And what year was that for the zoning change you're saying? Like,
So for this most recent zoning change, we made it so that if it's got 5 bedrooms or more, that's congregate living.
yep,
The zoning change that required special approvals for more than 4 bedrooms happened in 2009, I believe.
okay. So if I have something from prior to that, it's something I should meet with you guys and review about that.
Correct.
And then, so I might be a little bit premature on seeking approval for the congregate living at this point. Depending on how
Possibly,
that
yeah.
turns out. Okay,
Yeah.
but I'm still happy to answer any questions relating to it, obviously.
All right. So when did you take over ownership of the building? Sorry.
It was in early 2022.
Oh, so recently.
Yeah, or maybe even end of 2021. It was close.
Okay. And so we're seeing a lot recently of people who have purchased houses and then they find out that they were being used in a way that was not approved when they go to get insurance or
For
whatever.
sure. Uh-huh.
Is that what's happening with this one or?
No, so from my understanding, this property has always been used as a 6-bed. And I've got a couple of previous MLS listings of it stating that it is 6-bed. Back from the 2006 timeframe.
Yeah,
So I believe it's been used as this for a long time.
I guess the question is just when you bought it, it
Mhm.
was listed as you'll be able to take over ownership of a 6-bedroom.
Yeah, and it
building.
was designed inside as a 6-bed.
Correct.
I haven't made any physical changes or moved any walls or done any stuff like that.
That's the exact question. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
it makes a little bit of a difference if you've
Oh,
carved it up since you bought it and
for
then now
sure.
you're coming in to ask
for sure.
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
think if you came through, it would show that it wouldn't be obvious that I've done some structural changes like that.
Yeah. Are you handy? Can you do that stuff quick? And
Move walls,
Yeah.
it's probably easy to put walls up, but making them look like that they haven't been there, making them look like they've been there for a long time would be challenging.
yeah.
I think if you
Gotcha.
saw the walls, you'd see that it wasn't
Alright.
done recently.
All right.
How many people are currently living on the premises?
There's 5 in there now.
And were they tenants you inherited when you purchased the property?
No, I put them in there.
All right. So the staff report recommended that right now the parking area is not really, it's hard to define what's the parking area and what's not.
Sure, it's you're talking about like just the condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and has seen better days.
Yeah. Is that something you would take care of as part of the defining what are the whatever the number of parking spaces that are required? You'd pave them?
Yes,
In some
if I could certainly do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I also, it was post my original submission. And my apologies for being so late, but I also added a CAD drawing. I own the property next door also that has 7 available parking spots. Because I know we can only fit a maximum of 5 behind the property at this one. So if I did need 1 parking spot per bedroom, I could use it from the property next door, which has extra ones available.
Okay. Since you've owned it, and you've had people in it,
Mhm.
has every person that's been in there had a car?
I think the people in there now maybe have 4 cars. It's just in general, I guess. If I had to guess, maybe 2/3 of our tenants generally have cars.
Yeah.
That's just a rough guess. It could be all of them. It could be none of them. Certainly, we have
Yeah.
some tenants that have no cars at all.
Okay. And in general, do you tailor towards students or?
I definitely have a decent amount of student rentals, but a lot of non-student rentals too. A little more than half students, but definitely a fair amount of non-students. The property next door, which I own, is non-students.
Not students, okay. Is this one in general is usually students or has been students or?
This one particular here, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's listed on the listing from 2006 as being students.
Student, okay, all right. Tito, on this, do we have the ability to waive one parking space?
Yeah, you can waive up to half of them.
Okay. So you could fit five and we could waive one, then you wouldn't have to provide one parking space tied to another property.
Okay.
Is anybody opposed to doing that? Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I'll make a motion that the project is a type 2 action under seeker because it involves the reuse of an existing residential building and that no further environmental review is required. All right, seconded by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the project at 5:25 at our June meeting. All right, seconded by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
Can I ask you, it's really you and Tito. So what we're asking about being grandfathered in, is there anything that we have to note about that to say that some of this stuff is a moot point? Or is
No,
that still?
we'll try to figure it out before June.
Okay.
And if he doesn't need planning commission review, then we just
You
won't,
just, well, okay,
we won't do the public hearing.
very good. Thank you.
All right. All right, so we'll see you back in June unless Tito uncovers some information that makes it so you don't have to come back.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, our next and last seeker determination is for the applicant Thomas Grosso. Project address is 31 to 33 Pine Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for a congregate living facility and ground floor office use in an existing mixed use building in the C4 neighborhood commercial district. Hey, welcome back.
Hello, everybody. My name's Brian Doak from Doak Engineering in Owego, New York, and I'm representing Mr. Grasso, who was unable to be here tonight. The project is located at 3133 Pine Street, if you're familiar with it. And the project is, the first step, of course, is a site plan review and approval. And my purpose tonight is to present the overview of the project, which is basically we're going to reestablish the existing building, which is the zoning has been changed as of 3/30/23 to C4 neighborhood commercial. So the building will be restored, renovated, rehabilitated in its existing condition. No changes to the floor plans, either of the first or the second floor. The parking is adequate for the property based on the main building at 33 and 31. There's a need of total of 16 parking spots. There's enough space on the lot for 15. Will provide the 16th spot inside the garage. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward project. The parking lot will be repaved. But it's going to, I believe, make correct what was previously a use of the building that was not proper for the zoning.
All right. Any questions, comments?
Curious about, kind of ties into the comment you just made, that I know from the staff report, it's going to need a variance. Is it because too many people were living there, or what is it about the property that would require a variance?
I can't really answer that at this point. Maybe Tito can.
So in that zoning district, the first 30 feet of frontage of the ground floor has to be commercial. In other words, the front of the building on the ground floor has to be a storefront or non-residential. And the applicant is looking for a variance to have a unit up front on part of the facade. So there will be an office space, but there will be also a residential unit that fronts on Pine Street.
All right. And there's no plan to change what that front appendage that looks like it was a definite add-on to the building, what that looks like in any way. It's just going to stay brick right up to the sidewalk.
So far as I understand, there is no plan to change the front.
Okay. And as far as you know, there's no question about the structural integrity of any of the components of any of these buildings?
I haven't done a thorough review of the building, but I have looked at it from the outside, and the lines look pretty good.
Okay.
I haven't really, neither me or the owner, or rather the person I represent have been able to get in the building and take a thorough investigation of it. But it does look like it's got good lines, needs some cleaning up and some tender loving care.
Gotcha. Okay. One question about the building, the floor plan. I'm guessing, so I know all bedrooms need a window to meet code. I'm guessing it was just the windows are probably there. They're just not shown on the floor plan. Is that right?
Well, I haven't done a thorough investigation in the building, but they will have to be there, of course. To put
Okay.
a bedroom, you have to have an egress window for every bedroom.
Okay. And then I guess that also is bedroom number 17 on the layout. It doesn't have access to an exterior wall, it looks like. So just curious if that's an actual feasible bedroom or not.
We'll have to address that. This is really the
Preliminary.
purpose. This is giving an idea, give the board an idea of what's going on in the building, but
All right.
Said a comment that the application said that garbage storage would be handled in the garage. Is that still the case?
that's
You-
what we plan. And I note that in one of the plans, comments, notes.
Okay, the reason I asked is because you mentioned the garage would provide a parking space. I don't know if there's enough room for both in there. And you do not need that 16th space in the garage. You only need 15. So it could be dedicated for garbage.
Okay, it is a 2-car garage
Okay,
in case we do need the extra spot.
All right. And in terms of who would be renting this, is this individual rooms are rent to individual people who then share the kitchen, but they have their own bedroom that has a lock, and their lease would only be more or less for the bedroom?
It would be all within the definition of congregational living.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Only because they're pretty small rooms. Sometimes I see plans like this and it makes me a little sad when I see the size of a room that somebody's gonna rent. As like that's their room and then they share the rest of the house. So I'm just curious if that's how this was planned to be used, but okay. All right.
A comment about combining the properties. That there's a recommendation that the properties be combined into one parcel.
Are you asking or telling me?
What's that?
Are you asking me if?
No, I'm asking you if you saw that recommendation. You're planning on combining the two properties or?
That's a question for the owner or for the potential owner. Yeah, it would likely be combined.
No, that's just our recommendation. And it's up to you all if you want to require that as a condition of approval. It just makes things cleaner because the parking is dedicated to the building on the adjacent parcel, and combining it would make that permanent.
I would recommend it.
Anybody opposed to that? Combine? Yeah, okay. So we probably would want them combined into one parcel.
That's a recommendation from the board.
Yes.
All right. Any other concerns, questions? Tito, no landscape buffers or anything apply for this one?
I believe they're showing the 5-foot buffer on Pine Street with a hedge there. And then there wasn't enough room on the sides to provide a buffer and include those parking spaces. They are going to the zoning board for the width of the drive aisle. So they will need a variance for the width of the drive aisle and the lack of buffers on the sides, in addition to the 30-foot non-residential issue.
I got you.
But they did provide it on that southern property line.
All right. All right, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll make a motion that the proposal involves the reuse of an existing residential building, which is a type 2 action, and that no further environmental review is required. All right, second by Manny, all in favor? All right, it's 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing at 5:30 at the June meeting. All right, second by Steve, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. All right. See you back in June. All right, that concludes seeker determinations. So we're on to our next portion of the meeting, which is public hearings and final deliberations. In this portion of our meeting, we will be holding open public hearings to obtain public opinion in regard to specific projects that are up for review. Applicants will be asked to come to the microphone and make a brief presentation describing their project. For most projects, this is the second time we were reviewing your information, so it would be very helpful if you could please give us a brief overview of your project to remind us what you're planning, and then clearly identify any changes that have been made since the last time we saw you. When the applicant is done presenting and any clarifications have been reviewed, we will open the public hearing and allow members of the community to speak about the applicant's proposal. After the commission has heard from all community members interested in speaking tonight, the public hearing will be closed and the commission will deliberate. To our applicants, when your project name is called, please come to the microphone and start off by giving your name and address of any members of the applicant's team that are planning to speak. And anyone from the community that will be speaking in regard to a project tonight, please also start off by stating your name and address for our records. All right, so tonight, our first public hearing is for the applicant Hamza Khan. Project address is 13 Main Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit to establish a retail food sales facility in an existing commercial building, and a recommendation to city council to allow the sale of tobacco within 500 feet of a school in the C1 service commercial district. Welcome back.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
Name is Hamza Khan. I live on 11 Blackstone Ave, Binghamton, New York, here for 13 Main Street. So I think I'm here for 2 separate things, if Tito could confirm. So first is for the grocery and the takeout, and then the second is to the sale of tobacco in that premises.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything changed between last meeting and this meeting?
No, so the first part of the approval was the grocery takeout. That was the first side of it. And I just want to, that was the first thing. And then I haven't really changed into the tobacco. I did a little bit of more research. There's a lot of bars right next to the high school. There's churches. And according to those 200-foot guidelines, every pub that's over there is breaking that guideline. So I don't know what the difference is between me and them. Opening up a tobacco and there's bars and clubs right there. Within 200 feet of the school, and they're not, I'm only violating the school. They're violating the churches and the schools. So just, just a pointer that I wanted to bring up, that there's other businesses and we're all trying to make a living, and that's it.
All right. All right, and no changes to the floor plan for the grocery store at all? That's all still the same?
No, that's staying the same. That's basically a simple guide.
Okay.
floor plan.
All right. I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? We'll open the public hearing and see if anybody's here to speak about the project.
Yes.
And then we'll call you back. If you don't mind, just taking a seat.
Yeah.
Off to the back there. All right, so this is the, excuse me, the public hearing for the applicant Hamza Khan. The project address is 13 Main Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit to establish a retail food sales facility in an existing commercial building, and a recommendation to city council to allow the sale of tobacco within 500 feet of a school in the C1 Service Commercial District. If there's anyone who would like to speak about the project, including our recommendation to city council about sale of tobacco, please come to the microphone. All right, and Tito, we didn't get any letters about this at all? All right, seeing no one approaching the microphone, we'll close the public hearing for this project. You come back up. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments, follow up?
I just have a question, I suppose, for Tito and whomever about these pubs were obviously all godfathered before the laws that we were trying to establish, and the same as the other groceries and markets, whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not sure, but what he's referring to about bars, that's governed by the state liquor authority. That's their rule. That's not anything we have control over. The
Okay.
tobacco rule is in our local zoning ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
The comments are really similar to what I made last month. I'm certainly sympathetic to the concerns you brought up, and prior to the last meeting, I was looking at the map and where things were located, and I was having trouble understanding why one thing is allowed and another may not be.
Yeah.
Because you have a couple of businesses, as was said before, that are in close proximity to the school.
Yes.
That are selling tobacco, so why not this? And that was something that I felt before the last meeting. Now understanding the intent of the law being that anything there prior is grandfathered in, but the intent is not to add any new businesses doing that. With that in mind, hope you'll understand, I stand against having tobacco as part of the project, knowing that the intent of the law is to rein that in and not have any new businesses that are selling that in proximity to the school. Although I certainly understand on the surface, it may feel unfair. It's like, how come they get to do it and I don't? But that's how I'll be voting on that.
All right. All right, so I tell you what, why don't we do this in two separate votes? So it's two things, like you said, there's the site plan review for a grocery store.
Yep.
And then there's a recommendation to city council for the tobacco. So I'll make a motion that the requirements for site plan review and special use permit to establish a retail food sales facility in an existing commercial building. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Sorry, Tito, is this unlisted? So we have to go through seeker, or was this a type 2?
The retail food sales is type 2.
Okay.
The tobacco is unlisted.
Okay. So do we have to? Can they be split out separately? Or do you want me to do it as an unlisted and just go through the checklist?
You might as well just do it as unlisted.
Okay. And doing a negative declaration for the grocery store does not necessarily mean we're saying a negative declaration for tobacco sales. That's a completely separate issue, right? Because we're not making any rulings, we're just making a recommendation to city council.
Correct.
Is that,
That's correct. And I'm wondering if you even need to do seeker for the tobacco since you're not making the decision. I would say treat the whole project as unlisted.
Okay.
Even if you find that there's no significant adverse environmental impacts to the tobacco recommendation, that doesn't mean you have to vote to approve it.
okay,
You're just saying that there's no major environmental impact to allowing that.
all right, so yeah, so I'll make a motion for a negative declaration under seeker about the project based on the following items. All right. Impact on land. Oh, sorry, Tito, I have the wrong checklist. Do you have the right one? Wasn't on the site plan. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I've got the wrong checklist. All right. Thank you. Then a negative declaration based on the following. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No, or small impact. Will the proposed action cause the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No. Will the action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. And will the proposed action environmental resources health? No. So based on all those, I'll make a motion for a negative declaration for seeker for this project. All right, seconded by Steve, all in favor? All right, that's 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion that the requirements for the site plan review and special use permit for the grocery store or for establishing a retail food sales facility in an existing commercial building have been met. All right, seconded by Kelly, all in favor? All right. So the grocery store portion of the project, we have no problem with that.
Okay.
So now the next thing we have to do is make a recommendation to city council about whether or not we would agree with tobacco sales within 500 feet of a school.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a motion for a recommendation of denial to city council to allow sale of tobacco within 500 feet. Because I agree with Steve, I don't think it's a good idea. All right, so second by Manny, all in favor? All right, so that's a 5-0 vote to recommend denial of a tobacco sales within 500 feet of the school. But we love the grocery store, just not the tobacco. So-
Got it.
So I guess now it's in your hands what you want to do and
Okay.
it's also, if you take it to city council, there's a possibility they might not agree with us and they might side with you and allow you to do it.
Got it. All
Kind
right.
of up to you what you want to do from
Yeah,
here.
I'll work with Tito if I want to go any further or not.
That sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
All right. Our second and last public hearing tonight is for the applicant Blue Water Capital Group. The project address is 14 Ayers Street and 77 Chapin Street. And this is a site plan review and special use permit to convert two existing residential buildings into two separate congregate living facilities with 7 sleeping rooms at 14 Ayers Street and 6 sleeping rooms at 77 Chapin Street in the R3 multi-unit dwelling district. Steve.
Question, this is probably for Tito, just comparing to last month's agenda, it had 14 and 22 Ayers Street, but 22, I think, was taken out. 77 Chapin, but 63 Murray Street was in the mix and is not this month.
They provided evidence that that was a pre-existing congregate living building, so they didn't have to seek approval for that.
All right. What's going on?
Well, so we've been busy at work. We did find information that showed that 63 Murray Street, did not need to go through the process. But with that being said, we still have 77 Chapin Street and 14 Air Street. By the way, I'm Ethan Cook. I have offices at 84 Court Street. I'm a Pyramid Brokerage Company. I represent the owners of 77 Chapin Street and 14 Air Street, Matthew and Thomas Carcone. So right now we currently have 6 beds at 77 Chapin Street. We have 7 beds at 14 Air Street. And we're able to provide 7 parking spaces at 77 Chapin Street at the moment. And we do not have any parking at 14 Air Street. We've got these properties currently under contract, and as part of our contract, we need to get congregate approvals. So the new owner will have both these properties and he will allocate parking from one location to the other. So at this point, speaking with Tito, we're opting to request a reduction in the parking that is required, a little bit less than 50%. So that would be our request at this point.
All right, so you're looking for a 50% reduction in parking,
A little bit
Required.
less, yep.
a little bit less.
If you know in the staff report update, which isn't loading for me for some reason, the numbers are broken down there.
Ah, there we go. Okay. I think at the last meeting, we had talked about you were gonna provide plans that showed how that was gonna be laid out. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yep. You should have those. I was able to get them over to Tito. I do have paper copies, not any, but I could pass out what I have. Nothing for 14. We also have 63 Murray with the 2 additional spots. So since the last meeting, we re-engaged with Halbert Engineering. They did the original surveys for us. We hired them again to go back and put parking spots on the surveys. And they're shown there with the green dotted line.
Gotcha.
And then you can see it in the general notes. They'll describe to you how many parking spots they could fit on the site while still accommodating the city's requirements to be within 5 feet of the property line.
Tell me again who the owners are.
Matthew and Thomas Carcone. They were former Binghamton University students, purchased the home that they lived in when they were here and started acquiring a portfolio property after that. They do reside in Washington, D.C. and were unable to make it tonight.
How do you spell their last name?
You had to ask. Let me check.
Carcone.
Thank you, Tito.
Thank you.
I didn't want to butcher it.
All right, Tito, do you mind, just, I see the recommendation, I didn't read this, and that, the planning department recommends the waiver of 5 required parking spaces. Do you want to just elaborate on the overall reason that you're fine with this?
Yeah, just, there's a net increase in off-street parking being provided there with the proper paving and striping of 77 Chapin. And, it doesn't appear that there's physically any way to provide it at 14 Ayers. They did submit, several other options, but they didn't qualify for different reasons. Some were too far, some, were on properties that needed their own parking. And so this is existing. Obviously, it wasn't established legally, but it's been existing. And they will be taking some cars off the street by paving 77 Chapin Street. It's less than a 50% reduction. They need 13 total. They're providing 8. So we're just not opposed to the waiver.
Okay. All right. All right, well, let's do this. Let's open the public hearing and see if anybody's here to speak about the project, and then we'll reconvene. All right, so this is the public hearing for the applicant Blue Water Capital Group. The project address is 14 Ayers Street and 77 Chapin Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit to convert 2 existing residential buildings into 2 separate congregate living facilities with 7 sleeping rooms at 14 Ayers Street and 6 sleeping rooms at 77 Chapin Street. If there's anybody who would like to speak about the project, please come to the microphone.
Good evening. My name's Constance Barnes, and I live at 65 Murray Street, next door to 63 Murray Street, and we have a shared driveway. The rule always was, when I bought the house 44 years ago, we had to sign a document along with the person next door agreeing that we would share the responsibility of that driveway. Since it stopped being a single family resident, that process has never happened again. I noted in the plans that they said there would be room for 7 cars. I think that's what it was, but anyway, that they have a 3-stall garage plus space for 4 cars. Really, if the 4 cars are in there, nobody's going to get into the 3-stall garage. It's a really tight squeeze now with 4 cars back there and cars on my side. Plus it's college students, and I will tell you that they don't take great care in coming up that driveway when the grandchildren are running around. I just feel that this would decrease the value of my home by allowing any of this to happen. I'm happy to talk to the owner of 63 Murray to see if we can have a plan.
All right,
Thank you for listening.
thank you. All right, anybody else who would like to speak about the project? And we didn't get any letters about this one, right?
Did get 1 call in opposition, but they did not submit a letter.
All right. All right, seeing nobody else approaching the microphone, we'll close the public hearing. All right, and you can respond to any of the comments if you want.
Well, we were able to remove 63 Murray Street from this application based on the information that we found. I will absolutely relay that information to the owners just so that they're aware of it. My experience with them is that they've been great guys and they're more than willing to be an active part of our community. They were going to reinvest this money into downtown. They don't have any plans of leaving Binghamton and want to be active members of the business community here. So I will certainly relay that message to them
Okay,
and see if we can't do something about it.
all right. So, yeah, just to clarify, so the 63 Murray Street project has been removed from this application. So unfortunately, that's not part of our review tonight. We're only sticking to 77 Chapin Street and 14 Ayers Street. All right. All right. Any other questions, comments about those two properties? Anybody opposed to the requested reduction for parking? Seeing that the planning department is okay with it, I'm okay with it. All right, same, all right. All right. In that case, I'll make a motion. We already determined that this was a type 2 action under seeker because it involves the reuse of existing residential buildings. So I'll make a motion that the requirements for the site plan review and special use permit have been met. With the condition that the parking lot at 77 Chapin Street be resurfaced with asphalt and striped to provide the 7 compliant parking spaces that were shown on the plan we saw tonight. And do you want a separate motion for the reduction? Okay, all right, so cut it off there on that first motion.
Second.
All right, second by Manny, all in favor? All right, that's 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion for the reduction of 5 parking spaces that were required for the project. All right, second by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, you're off and running.
Thank you very much. So we'll get get an email or something like that from Tito.
The decision letter within 5 business days.
Thank you very much, Tito. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. So that concludes public hearings and final deliberations. And now we're on to other business, which includes rezoning of Park Ave between Cross Street and Hotchkiss Street.
So the comprehensive plan calls for the rezoning of these 2 areas, which is the west side of Park Ave between Cross Street and Hotchkiss Street, in the northwest and northeast corners of the intersection of Park Ave and Corbett Ave. Those are historically commercial. There are existing businesses there now that were sort of zoned out of compliance in 2006. The comprehensive plan calls for rezoning that to be commercial. And so we're proposing rezoning that to be C4 neighborhood commercial. That would legalize the existing buildings, businesses there, and allow them to expand, change their signage, change business types and so on.
All right. Anybody opposed or have any questions about that? No. All right.
And the motion would be to recommend approval of or denial of the rezoning to city council.
All right. So I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the rezoning to city council. All right. Seconded by Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. All right. Tito, what do you think? If we make a motion for the Knicks to win tonight, does it have to happen then or?
I don't know. I'm kind of like superstitious
Yeah, so
with
we don't-
jinxes and things, so maybe not.
All right, we won't mess with that. Anybody else have any other business for? It's on the record now.
I believe that's on the 11th. Yeah, the second Tuesday. Because the first would be July 4th.
Actually, I guess I do have one question. This might be for Greg. There was a big hubbub this week about trying to cut the number of code reviewers or code officials. Did you hear anything about this, or is this a real thing? You're not? Okay.
The-
Chris, okay.
He did propose an amendment to the budget to eliminate 2 positions and change salaries for the remaining positions.
Is that a good thing for what we do here? Like
So what,
enforce all this stuff?
what the argument was that those, those positions have been unfilled for a long time and that they can get better results by adequately paying the existing positions, since they can't get the additional positions.
So nobody says that. They just say they're looking to cut 2 code officials positions. They don't say that they're not filled with a person in them.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, they're not firing anybody. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's clickbait,
yeah.
clickbait.
Well, it got me. Okay. No, it's just, it seems like code is doing a great job with everything right now, and I'd hate to, if they really were looking to get rid of actively filled positions, that would be horrible. All right. Motion to adjourn? All right. Motion by Kelly, second by Manny, all in favor? 5 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You are in favor. Good.